Deep inside a silent chamber of the National Library of Sweden rests a book that should not exist. Not because of what it contains, but because of what it is. The Codex Gigas, known throughout history as the Devil's Bible, is the largest medieval manuscript ever created. It weighs more than 70 kilograms. It stands nearly 1 meter tall. Its pages are made from the skin of at least 160 animals. And yet, its size is not what terrifies historians. Its origin is. According to historical records, the Codex Gigas was written in the early 13th century inside a Benedictine monastery in Bohemia, in what is now the Czech Republic. The monastery was small, poor, and isolated. It lacked the resources, the manpower, and the time required to produce such a colossal work. Still, the book appeared. Modern analysis reveals something far more disturbing: the entire manuscript was written by a single hand. The handwriting remains perfectly consistent from the first page to the last. There are no signs of fatigue. No corrected mistakes. No variation in ink. It is as if the scribe never slept, never aged, and never hesitated. The contents of the Codex are unsettling. It contains the complete Bible in Latin, medical texts, magical formulas, exorcisms, calendars, and historical records. But hidden among these sacred and scholarly writings is something profoundly wrong. A full-page illustration of the devil. Not a symbol. Not an allegory. But a presence. The figure stands alone, filling the page with grotesque detail. Clawed hands. Greenish skin. A forked tongue. Eyes that do not simply stare, but seem to watch. On the opposite page lies the kingdom of heaven empty. No angels. No God. Just silence. The oldest legend surrounding the Codex tells of a monk who committed a crime so severe that he was condemned to be sealed alive within the monastery walls. In desperation, he made an impossible promise: he would write a book in a single night that would glorify God and save the monastery forever. As the hours passed, he realized the truth. The task could not be completed by human hands. So he prayed. But not to God. According to the legend, at midnight the monk performed a forbidden ritual and called upon Lucifer himself. He offered his soul in exchange for help. When the sun rose, the book was finished. And the monastery was never the same. Those who have seen the Codex Gigas in person often say the same thing. The room feels colder. The air heavier. And when the page depicting the devil is revealed, conversations stop. The illustration is unlike anything else from the medieval world. Satan is not shown in flames, nor is a distant monster ruling from hell. Instead, he stands upright, confined within a frame, as if imprisoned inside the page itself. His body is oddly human, yet twisted. His hands end in claws. His feet resemble talons. His skin is pale, almost sickly green. 2 long horns rise from his head and his eyes stare outward, not at the heavens, not at God, but directly at the viewer. Medieval artists rarely devoted entire pages to evil alone. When they did, the devil was usually small, defeated, or mocked. But here, he dominates the page completely. No saints. No angels. No divine protection. Scholars notice something even more unsettling. The devil is placed at the exact center of the book. To the left of the illustration lies the Old Testament. To the right, the New Testament. As if the entire Bible revolves around him. ACR. Os from the devil's image is another full-page illustration, the heavenly city. It is orderly, symmetrical, and silent. But it is also empty. No souls walk its streets. No angels guard its gates. God is absent. Some researchers believe this was intentional, a warning. Others believe it was a confession. According to monastery records, after the Codex was completed, strange events began to occur. Animals refused to enter the scriptorium. Candles extinguished themselves without wind. Monks reported hearing scratching sounds coming from inside the book when it was closed, as if something were trying to escape. One account describes a monk who stared too long at the devil's page and collapsed screaming that the eyes had moved. Another claimed the mouth had opened slightly, revealing teeth that were not there before. Centuries later, when the Codex was transported across Europe, misfortune followed it. The monastery that once housed it fell into ruin. War swept through the region. Fires destroyed nearby towns, but the book remained untouched. During the 30 Years' War, the Codex was seized and taken to Sweden as war loot. Soon after, a massive fire broke out in Stockholm Castle. Countless books burned. The Codex Gigas survived, thrown from a window by a terrified servant who later claimed the book felt warm, like it was alive. Today, the Codex rests behind glass. Locked. Guarded. Silent. But some librarians refuse to work alone near it after dark. They say that sometimes, when the lights are low, the devil's eyes no longer seem printed. They seem awake. As the centuries passed, the Codex Gigas earned a reputation that followed it like a shadow. Wherever the book went, disaster seemed to follow. Historians debate coincidence. Witnesses insist otherwise. After leaving Bohemia, the Codex passed through the hands of emperors, priests, and collectors. Many of them met strange ends. One caretaker reportedly went mad, claiming the book whispered his name at night. Another died suddenly after refusing to let the manuscript out of his sight, convinced that something terrible would happen if it was moved. In the 17th century, Emperor Rudolf II of the Holy Roman Empire became obsessed with the Codex. Known for his fascination with alchemy and the occult, Rudolf ordered the book brought to his private collection. Shortly after, his reign began to collapse. Plagues spread. Political chaos consumed his court. He died isolated, paranoid, and convinced that dark forces were conspiring against him. The book survived every catastrophe. Floods destroyed libraries. Fires consumed archives. Wars erased entire cities. Yet the Codex remained intact, untouched by flame or water, as if protected by something unseen. Scientists who examined the manuscript found no physical explanation for its resilience. The binding should have decayed centuries ago. The pages should have deteriorated. They did not. Even more disturbing are the modern testimonies. Several librarians have reported recurring nightmares after handling the Codex for extended periods. In these dreams, they describe standing inside a vast stone room surrounded by endless pages, while a deep voice recites Latin phrases they do not understand. When they wake, some find the phrases written down in their own handwriting. One archivist claimed that while cataloging the book late at night, he heard a low humming sound coming from the glass case. When he leaned closer, the sound stopped. The next morn, he discovered faint scratch marks on the inside of the glass, as if something had tried to push outward. Psychologists dismiss these accounts as stress-induced hallucinations. But there is one detail they cannot explain. Every witness, separated by centuries, describes the same sensation. The feeling of being observed. Not watched from the room. Watched from the page. The devil's illustration does not change. It does not move. And yet, those who study it too closely often report the same chilling thought: the longer you look, the more it feels as though the image is learning your face. As if it is memorizing you. The Codex Gigas does not demand belief. It does not curse openly. It waits. And waiting, as history has shown, is something it does very well. Today, the Codex Gigas rests in silence behind reinforced glass under controlled light and constant surveillance. To the public, it is a historical artifact. To scholars, a mystery. But to those who have spent enough time near it, the book is something else entirely. A warning. Modern researchers have tried to demystify the legend. Carbon dating confirms the manuscript was written in the 13th century. Chemical analysis shows the ink was made using materials common to the time. The parchment is real. The handwriting is human. And yet, no explanation accounts for the most disturbing detail of all: the time. Experts estimate that copying the Bible alone by hand would require at least 20 years of continuous work. That does not include the medical texts, the magical formulas, the exorcisms, or the massive illustrations. And yet, there are no signs of interruption. No changes in handwriting. No fading ink. No errors corrected over time. It is as if the book was written in a single, uninterrupted state. As if time itself had been suspended. Some theologians believe the Codex was never meant to glorify evil, but to document temptation. Others argue it is a confession, a record of a soul willingly surrendered. But one theory remains deeply unsettling: that the book is unfinished. Hidden within the codex are pages that appear intentionally blank. Not damaged. Not missing. Blank by design. According to one interpretation, these pages were left open for future entries. For names. For debts yet to be claimed. In recent years, access to the codex has become increasingly restricted. Not due to public demand, but internal policy. Librarians rarely explain why. But one leaked report mentions an incident involving a motion sensor triggering repeatedly in the middle of the night. The cameras showed nothing moving. Except the page. Not turning. Not shifting. Just closer to the glass than before. Whether the Codex Gigas was created by desperation, madness, or something far darker may never be proven. But its survival through centuries of destruction is undeniable. Its presence continues to unsettle those who study it. And perhaps that is its true purpose. Not to prove the devil exists, but to remind humanity how easily we invite him in. Because the most terrifying thing about the Codex Gigas is not the image of the devil staring back at us. It is the possibility that the book was never cursed. That its